A lot of people who go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay.
Hey there, so here we have Dr. Ben Carson, potential Republican candidate to the US presidential elections. Obviously an intelligent guy and a good look for Republicans, because having a black brain surgeon as a candidate makes them seem a little less stupid and a little less racist. That is until Ben Carson decided to participate in the stupid bucket challenge. You know, like when you take a bucket of stupid and pour it all over yourself. So here's Dr. Carson arguing that being gay is a choice because prison.
What if people of a state vote for a law 100-0 that winds up infringing on the rights of a minority, like happened very often with slavery, like many would argue is happening now with people who are gay?
And our Constitution was followed, and we corrected those things.
And isn't that what's happening right now with same-sex marriage? It's being corrected as a form of violation of equal protection.
No, you can't just say because it happened that way this time, this is the same situation. It's not the same situation.
Now, I know a lot of people take offense with this analogy between gay rights and the civil rights movement, because they say on one hand you have things like discussions about marriage equality and so on, and on the other hand you have slavery and lynching. But I really don't think anybody's trying to equate the level of oppression and say, yeah, it's exactly the same thing. This analogy is simply done to illustrate another instance where the rights of a minority were decided by the majority, and how fucked up and dangerous that is. But I guess this flew right over Ben Carson's head, because he goes on to argue that the main difference between the two examples is choice.
Because people have no control over their race, for instance.
You think they have control over their sexuality?
Absolutely.
You think being gay is a choice?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that?
Because a lot of people who go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay. So did something happen while they were in there? Ask yourself that question.
Never go to prison, and you know there's a whole theory of dominance.
Wait a minute. I said a lot of people who go in, come out. Are you denying that that's true?
First of all, this rhetoric is so unbecoming of a scientist. What the hell does a lot of people mean? Do you have numbers, examples, statistics, anything to back up your assertions? I mean, this is something I would expect my grandma to say, like conversationally while serving tea.
You know, prison turns a lot of people gay, dear.
What you're saying goes directly against the scientific consensus, and the only thing you bring in support of your argument is nothing more than an urban legend. Dr. Carson. And just the way he smirks and asks,
did something happen while they were in there? Ask yourself that question.
Is beyond obnoxious, because we all know what he's alluding to. Now, there are many studies done about sex while in prison, and I will provide a bunch of links below. First point, which should go without saying, is that if somebody was raped or otherwise coerced to have sex while in prison and victimized, that in no way makes them gay. It simply doesn't work like that. You don't just catch gayness like some sexually transmitted infection and it's like tag you're it. As for the people who commit rape while incarcerated, they're not necessarily gay themselves either. Rape in prison can be used as a method of punishment or intimidation to install fear in other inmates, to establish dominance. There are many reasons why inmates rape other inmates, and it usually has nothing to do with genuine lust, sexual desire for that person. Now, in the case of consensual sex in prison between people who otherwise identify as straight, this is called situational sexual behavior. And this happens when your social environment limits your sexual behavior. In this case, because your interactions are restricted to people of the same sex. Basically, rather than having no sexual contact and intimacy with anybody at all, you choose to have it with other inmates, because that's the only alternative there is. This also happens in boarding schools and sometimes in the military. That does not a gay person make. This situational sexual behavior doesn't change your sexual orientation, doesn't change who you are naturally sexually attracted to. Another example of that is in porn, where people who otherwise identify as straight become what's called gay for pay while on set, because it pays better, which doesn't make them gay either, regardless what other people think. Sexual orientation is defined as an enduring pattern of romantic and sexual attraction. And that doesn't have to be necessarily reflected in your sexual behavior. For instance, you can act straight and date, get married, have kids, all that jazz, while being in the closet. That doesn't make you less gay. In the same way, you can be heterosexual and, for whatever reason, never have sex in your life, with anyone. Your sexual behavior, or in this case lack thereof, the fact that you never engaged in sex with anyone, doesn't make you less straight, doesn't change your sexual orientation.
Wait a minute, I said a lot of people who go in, come out. Are you denying that that's true?
I am not denying that that's true, but I am denying that that's as a basis of understanding homosexuality.
If in fact that is the case, then it obviously thwarts what you just said.
This too is false.
We don't know exactly what determines or causes sexual orientation, and in most people, sexuality has some degree of fluidity. Some people are more quote-unquote heteroflexible or homoflexible if you want than others. But regardless of what exactly determined our sexual orientation, the fact is we don't experience an active choice in it. We cannot switch it on or off. We don't consciously choose who we are attracted to. We cannot will ourselves into being straight or gay or whatever. Just up until 20 years ago, psychiatric clinics still practiced aversion therapy. Gay men volunteered themselves to be basically tortured into being straight, with no lasting results. All evidence shows that it cannot be done. Now, the next day, Ben Carson apologized for his comment, and I've just gotta say, I'm so fed up with this fake apologizing. I mean, if you are sincere in your apology, then go ahead and acknowledge that, yeah, I said something really ignorant and I changed my mind. But please, just spare me this
"I'm so sorry you're offended, I didn't mean to hurt your feels"
bullshit. Because it's obvious the only thing you regret is that your ignorant comments got you in trouble. And to this, Dr. Ben Carson, sir, I can only say, please thumb up this video and let me know in the comments below what do you think is the dumbest thing a smart person ever said. This should be a fun comment section. See you soon.